Royal Bafokeng Platinum is a platinum metals producer which is majority owned by the Bafokeng tribe. It has its own prospects in Boschkoppie and Staldrift areas and a 67% stake in the Rasimoni mine with Anglo Platinum. It has a market cap of 8.9 billion rand, a price to earnings ratio of 51, and currently pays no dividends. Does the story change on Royal Bafokeng?
Slightly interesting company in terms of its heritage. As you point out there, the Bafokeng, as we all know, has been a very interesting story where the tribe actually retained the mineral rights and came to the fore, backed itself, looked after its interests through the apartheid era, which was amazing, and to their credit, proceeding with the development of that Bafokeng area, and they've got the sports stadium and the school. It's all very heartwarming. This particular asset came about because Anglo-American needed empowerment points. So it took these assets and kind of did a deal with them. It's now managed by them. So, you know, Steve Perry, who used to be at Mirafe, is now the CEO. And the assets are fine. They're quite shallow. And it's in that sort of Rustenburg area where all the sort of heavy infrastructure is. It's mid-sized. The profitability is a bit limited, but they've got their own plans and they've got these add-on properties. The only thing is they're not exempt from all these problems we've been talking about. They've also got the labor-related problems. Being empowerment-owned, it turns out, doesn't do anything for you when it comes to the
Rob, do you
unions.
believe being empowerment-owned does anything for the Royal Bafokeng story?
I think it does. I mean, if you say, look at the labour problems that they had last year, they got affected, but not that much. They only lost, I think, 70 tonnes, I think it was, of 70,000 ounces. So they weren't affected as much.
You know, so the empowerment element really mitigates against the labour risk, is what you're saying?
It mitigates to a point. I think, you know, depending on how aggressive the labour gets, but, you know, they manage their employees very well. You know, they're building houses, they're building schools, and it's more of a community
that's
project.
What Paul was saying, a lovely holistic story.
So, you know, if there's a lot of miners out of that area, then, you know, they could still have problems. But if the miners are coming from the area that are mining there, then, you know, it's much better for them.
Nobody's going to buy this one, are they?
No, I don't think so, because it's controlled by them and they have the strong cash flows from their share in Impala, which kind of backs them up. But I think Rob makes an interesting point. The mines had kind of got to a point where they said, okay, mine hostels, they started giving people a living out allowance. But then what happened is the mine workers started a second family in a shack across the road. That didn't go so well, and the municipality in the Rustenburg area is like a nightmare.
How many enemies do you want to make in this show?
That's collapsed. So now the companies actually have to like go and be the local authority in the sort of unformed, informal township across the road. So that's going to be another cost for all of these guys to try and stabilize that area.
At current share price levels, Rob, can you give us a little colour around what you're expecting going forward?
I think the prices are going to stabilize. I think the last 2 or 3 weeks, we saw all of these shares get knocked considerably down. You can see that chart already. Been aggressive selling, foreigners selling quite a lot. I think everything is slightly oversold here. So I think there is a little bit of uptick, and we'll have to see going forward into the next month or two if labour stabilises. But there is definitely value in these mines, you know, if things settle down.
Paul, Royal Bafokeng at current levels, would you dip your toe in the water?
They came off a bit with the recent results, but understand that with those two big shareholders, which are still Anglo Plats and the Bafokeng holding company, the liquidity is not that great. I think they're just going to plod on, and it won't recover any faster or slower than the rest of the industry.
But it's working well for the community, this whole supportive community story.
Yes, yes. Although the community thing, as I said, is more funded by the Impala cash flows than it is by this thing. I think this is their sort of project to see if they can do the thing themselves. And I think more or less they can. They've got some good, experienced operational executives.
Hot or not on Royal Bafokeng?
No.
Hot or not?
Not at the moment.